Here's a question. As we approach our 250th, is it possible for us to turn around our education to restore civic leadership and enjoy summer vacation with our family all at the same time? Well, Mount Titano Media says yes. This is the book for our 250th and for all ages, Finding Our Words, Words That Made America. This collection of the greatest speeches delivered in American history, many almost entirely forgotten, displays those very words that defined and can still drive the American mission. And now you can take them anywhere this summer with the Audible edition. These words that move the world are read by Michael Knowles, Andrew Klavan, Spencer Klavan, Bill Whittle, U.S. Army generals, and leaders in classical education. Every speech includes a powerful introductory essay written by acclaimed scholar Tracy Lee Simmons, whose preludes set the stage for a deeper understanding of each work. Mount Titano Media publishes single works and compilations of the greatest works of Western civilization for education at all levels and for independent lovers of learning and culture. Finding Our Words, Words That Made America, a great book for our 250th and always, is available now in paperback, hardcover, Kindle, Audible, and even in Spanish. Get your copies at Amazon and on the Mount Titano Media website. That's Mount Titano, Titano, MountTitanomedia.com. Visit www.mounttitanomedia.com.
Hello, this is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. We've talked a lot about the crisis that California is in and what it may predict for the rest of the United States should they follow the California Blue model, and many of them are. I guess we could sum it up as a doom loop. A doom loop. California is in a cycle where there's no chance, unless it makes radical change, it can get out of it as it heads toward what we might call third world extinction. Now, we need to break it down from the symptoms to the cause. The Greeks had a word, and the historian Thucydides, he said there was a prophasis, a superficial explanation, or an apparent explanation, or sometimes a disingenuous explanation, and then there was the idea, the real problem. And people don't really want to talk about the real problem. But here's the symptoms as we know it, the prophasis. We have the highest taxes in the United States, 13.3 income tax, highest gas taxes, among the top 10 highest sales taxes. We have the highest gasoline prices. We have the highest electricity prices in the continental United States. We have some of the worst services. Reason magazine said our roads are 49th in the nation. We know that our schools are in the bottom 10% based on test scores. Half of all births are conducted through Medi-Cal, our state welfare system. 40% are on it. 25% don't or can't pay their power bills every month. We've got the largest fraud in the country. It may, over many years, have extended up until now $250 billion. Okay, so those are the symptoms. And we know the manifestation of those symptoms. We have supermajorities in the state legislature, supermajorities in the Senate and the House. And we have only 7 of 52 congressional seats are held by Republicans. Donald Trump won 38%. Most Republican presidents win 40%. That's 13% of our Congress people. And remember, that's considered too generous by the left. Given their new redistricting plan, we may go down to 5 Republicans. And because we've had no statewide offices, I mean governor, we haven't appointed anybody but a liberal judge, no conservatives, no Republican judge on the state Superior Court, Appellate Court, and Supreme Court in 15 years. And the federal system, the 9th District, is already known to be quite liberal. So if you go to court in California, you're going to be facing a liberal judge. That's the truth. But here's the real problem. Those are symptoms. The real problem is 300 to 500,000 Californians are leaving the state. They can't put up with what I just discussed. They're sick of it. They're sick of it for a very strange reason that's not so apparent. Yes, they're sick of paying all that money in taxes and power and then getting terrible services, terrible roads, not very good health care, terrible schools, but they're being insulted. They're saying, go, we don't want you. That's the message from California. Elon Musk is worth $1 trillion. Can you imagine had he stayed? He wanted to stay in California. And we're losing a lot of the Google people, and Mark Zuckerberg are leaving. And they're leaving because not just do they pay a lot and they get very little, but they're being insulted by this government. It's truly a socialist government, that government in the widest sense of the word, state, local, offices, but people do not like wealthy, successful people. They feel they cheated, or as Elizabeth Warren said, you didn't build that. So they're leaving. That's the people who pay 58% of their income in federal, state, and local taxes. Those are the people who pay a large segment of their income at over 10% and even over 13.3%. Now they're being replaced. Over 50 years, 12 million of them have left. These were the Reagan voters, the Pete Wilson voters, the George Dugmasian voters, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they're being replaced. 27% of the California resident population was foreign-born, largely from the Western Hemisphere, south of the border, Asia, Africa. And most of them, not all, come here very, very poor, very, very poor, and in need, because we're a kind and humane society, of massive subsidies, health, education, legal, housing, food. And that is one reason why we chronically run budget deficits. We're spending enormous amounts of money on redistributive fraud, sometimes fraud, but welfare entitlements, Medi-Cal, food stamps, what we used to call food stamps, Section 8 housing, all of that. And the people who paid for that are leaving. There's one other wrinkle, the real cause of this problem. Silicon Valley inherited at the millennium a global audience. 7 billion consumers for Apple and Google and Facebook and Twitter and all of it. $14 trillion confined to the area between San Jose and Berkeley. And that has created a political class. As that money trickles through the economy to lawyers and Hollywood and elected officials and unions, all the avenues of left-wing political expression, it's made a coastal elite not subject to the consequences of their ideology. They don't really care about the price of electricity. They don't really care about the price of gas. They don't care that we have almost half the nation's homelessness. They have so much money and a secure zip code that we, the lab rats, experience the consequences of their experiment upon us. So let me just sum up. We have seen the largest diaspora of population shifts in California, much in our history, much bigger than the Oklahoma diaspora to California. People are leaving with money who paid the bills, and the people who are coming are the recipient of programs funded by their money. And we have an elite who knows this but feels sort of protected. Sort of like Tom Steyer, who ran for governor, a billionaire who started out funding or investing in Indonesian coal and offshoring his money to avoid taxes and then renouncing billionaires. That's sort of how it works, that the wealthy trash the wealthy and then they take advantage of all the tax advantages that the wealthy alone have the ability to exploit. Add it all up and we're in a doom loop. Yes, everything is bad in California. The elections are bad. We don't have a Republican Party. There are no conservatives with political power. But the reason is there's this great population shift, and it's not getting any better. And if it continues, as I think it will, California will become sort of like the United kingdom, a once prosperous, vibrant 1970s, 1980s at the millennium country, into something now that is poorer than Mississippi. Don't laugh. California can be poorer than Mississippi if the present government and the present demography and the present migration patterns sustain themselves. Thank you very much. This is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Signal. Please like, share, and subscribe to be notified for more content like this. You can also check out my own website at victorhanson.com and subscribe for exclusive features in addition.